Hello and welcome to the Year 11 revision evening video for Maths. My name is Mrs Nichols, I'm subject leader for Maths here at Ringwood School, and in this video I'm going to be explaining a little bit more about what to expect for upcoming mock exams for Maths and how to prepare for those and for the Maths exams in the summer. Now, just to start off with explaining how the final exams will work in the summer. For Maths at Ringwood we are studying Edexcel for GCSE. The Maths exams at the end of Year 11 will consist of 3 papers. They will be made up of paper 1, which is non-calculator, and papers 2 and 3, which are both calculator. Now, each paper is out of 80 marks and will last for 1 hour and 30 minutes. The results from all 3 of these papers will be added together to give a total score out of 240, and it is this mark overall which determines the overall GCSE grade based on the grade boundaries from the summer exam series. Just to highlight something now, we are not expecting students to be provided with a formula sheet for exams in summer 2024. They will need to learn all key formulae as explained by their maths teachers in lessons, and they will have these formulae within their skills books. In terms of the tiering, students will either be sitting the higher paper or the foundation paper. So on the higher paper, scores range from a grade 4, which is linked to the old grade C, up to a grade 9, which is sometimes referred to as the new A star star. You can see from the screen the links to the other numbers linked to the old letter grades. On the foundation paper, the grades range from a grade 1 up to a grade 5, with a 4 being the standard pass, which is linked to the old grade C, and 5 is sometimes referred to as a good pass or a strong pass. Now, in terms of the mock exams for Maths here at Ringwood School, all exams that students are now completing in Year 11 are in the format of GCSE papers to help them prepare for sitting those exams. For Maths, students will have 2 sets of mock exams. So mock set 1, students have already started this process. They sat paper 1 on Wednesday the 1st of November. They will then complete papers 2 and 3, which are their calculator papers, during the mock exam period. These will be on dates between Monday the 27th of November and Thursday the 7th of December. Students will receive individual exam timetables, which will give them the exact dates and times of these exams. Mock set 2, looking ahead a little bit further, we have our second set of mocks on Friday the 22nd of March for the non-calculator, and then paper 2, Monday the 25th of March, paper 3, Wednesday the 27th of March. This will obviously be a little bit closer to the real exams, and this gives students a chance to really reflect on their performance in mock set 1 and prepare and improve on things and hopefully boost their grade into mock set 2. Students will not be tested on any areas that have not already been covered in the scheme of work. So whilst they will be sitting GCSE papers, we do ensure that any questions on topics they haven't yet covered are swapped out for questions of a similar standard, just so there's not any unseen content in those papers. In terms of revision list, obviously mock paper 1 has already been completed now. Students have now been given a combined revision list for papers 2 and 3, which will have been stuck into their skills book in one of their maths lessons. Now, this is a combined list, so all of the topics that are on that list will be assessed either on paper 2 or paper 3. We're just not giving them the specific guidance as to which ones are just on paper 2 and which ones are just on paper 3, as it's important that students start developing that independence and start practicing revising a broader range of topics. In order to help the students a little more, we have ordered the topics on the revision list in terms of difficulty. So, for example, the topics at the start of the list will be at the start of the paper, and the topics at the end of the list will be at the end of the paper. So students should use that as a guide when deciding which topics they need to revise. Now, for mock set 2 in March, our plan for that is that students will be given a list of all topics from the whole course, and any of those topics could be examined across the 3 mock papers. Now, the reasoning behind this is in the summer, for the real GCSEs, we obviously won't know the exact topics that will be coming up in those 3 papers. We will provide students with a list of the entire course, and they need to be prepared to be independent at identifying areas they need to revise. So our intention is that in the March mocks, that starts to help students develop their independence. Now, just to show you the format of the revision list, students will have this in the back of their skills book if you'd like to take a look. This is actually the revision list from the higher paper 1, but the format will be the same for the foundation papers and also for the other revision lists for mock set 1 in the coming weeks. They have the topics listed on the left, which they have done a red, amber, green rating, and then there are some reflection questions on the right hand side for students to begin to think about their priorities for revision and how they're going to revise any key facts that they need to be working on. For example, some of those key formulae that we mentioned that they will need to revise. That could be, for example, the quadratic formula, it could be the formula for area of particular shapes, similar things like that. When we get to mock set 2, this is obviously only part of a revision list because the topic list for the whole course will be quite long, but this is an example of what it would look like for the higher revision list. We'll provide a revision list where the topics are split down into their main topic areas, for example, number, algebra, geometry, and then again we will work with students to help them rate red, amber, green, which ones they need to practice, which ones they are more confident on. Now, in terms of equipment for exams, students will need to make sure they have their own maths equipment ready for their mock exams and of course their actual exams in the summer. Their teachers will not be able to lend them any equipment. Now, things that we would expect them to have, they must have a pen, a pencil, a ruler, a protractor, a compass, and they must have a scientific calculator for papers 2 and 3. There's some more information about the calculators on the next slide. It's vitally important they have all of this equipment with them. We would hate for students to be missing out on marks because they haven't bought, for example, a protractor, a ruler, a compass. So really important that they have all of this equipment for the mocks and the summer exams. They can purchase exam packs with this equipment from student reception if that would be useful. Now, in terms of the calculator, it is really important for students to have their own calculator with them, not just for the exams, but for all maths lessons, as we really need students to become confident using them before their exams, so that that's one less thing to be worrying about when they're sitting those exams. If your child still needs a scientific calculator, they can be purchased via ArborPay and then collected directly from student reception, or they can be purchased online, in shops, in the supermarket, etc. Now, we would recommend that students purchase or use a Casio calculator. These are some of the calculators that our students would be using. So on the left-hand side was the older version of the Class Whiz Casio calculator. The middle one is the newest version of the Class Whiz, which is what can be purchased through reception. On the right hand side of the picture, older Casio calculators of this style will also work. So if a student has an older sibling who used one of these calculators for GCSE in previous years, it's absolutely fine for them to use that moving forward, but it would need to be a Casio scientific calculator. That is what we would recommend. Now, we're often asked how to revise maths, and we would say the best way to learn maths is to do maths. So just reading over notes, looking through their skills book, that alone will not work. They must practice. And students, we would say, should aim for little and often, little bit of practice on a regular basis rather than cramming lots of information in one go. Now, at this stage, as we're preparing for the mock exams in November and December, we would say targeted topic revision is best at this stage. Students have that revision list, which is fairly specific at this point, so that they can identify the topics they really need to work on. Past papers are of course useful, however they are more useful towards the end of the course when students have covered all topics. At this stage, students are still covering the scheme of work, so that if they are using past papers from an online source, they will find there are a number of questions in there that they don't yet recognise, and their time would be better spent at this point specifically working on the topics they know they are currently struggling on. We do run a comprehensive past paper programme in maths next year, so looking after February half term, where we will be providing those on a weekly basis, and absolutely at that point they are a really, really valuable source of revision. In terms of identifying those topics that students need to work on, they should remember to revise or practice topics they find more difficult, not just spend time going over things they are already good at. I know that can sometimes be difficult, but it's really important to help them make progress, that they are looking at those topics they know they struggle with and finding some more practice on those. And there's some more information on the next few slides about where they could find those resources. In terms of how to identify which topics to revise, students have a number of ways which they can use to help them identify these areas. At the start of each unit in their skills book, they are sticking in a unit sheet. That almost acts like a contents page for that unit, which will tell them all the topic areas that are coming up within that part of the course. When students have completed a home learning task, they will do a reflection. The home learning tasks that we are setting them, they are based on exam style questions and helping them with that exam practice. So any reflection they've done after a home learning task will help them to identify topics they need to work on. We also complete review sheets after their mock exams, and that's a really key way for students to identify these are the topics that went well, these ones not so well, these are the areas I need to be focusing on to help me improve into my next exam. If students are still unsure about which topics to revise, they can of course also speak to their maths teacher for more advice and guidance, and they can point them in the right direction. Now, in terms of what to do, we've obviously mentioned that doing maths is absolutely the best way to improve and practice maths, but where to find those resources. Now, for mock set 1, so for the upcoming papers 2 and 3, revision home learning will be provided by a teacher, and there will be the opportunity for feedback on that. However, to help give them the best chance of achieving that grade that they are aiming for, students should also aim to do some additional independent revision on topics they feel less confident on. So a revision home learning from the teacher may have 1 or 2 questions on each topic, whereas if there's a topic that students know they're really struggling with, for example fractions or indices, then the best way to help them make progress is to go away and find more practice questions on that topic. The other ways that they could do extra revision: they could redo past home learnings from sheets that they've got previously in their workbooks. They could complete questions from an online source or website. The next slide I've got some recommended sources for that. If students have purchased revision guides or workbooks or revision cards, these could also be used at this stage for targeted topic revision. With the revision workbooks and guides, we won't be running another order of those currently through school. However, they can be purchased online. Any revision guide that is for the current Edexcel GCSE Maths will be appropriate and will help them with that revision. Now, these are the online websites that we recommend. Your child's maths teacher will have talked to the students about these as well. But these are the key ones we would suggest they use. So Dr. Frost Maths, Maths GCSE, Corbett Maths, those are the 3 most commonly used. BBC Bite Size can also be used as long as the Edexcel section of that is found for GCSE Maths. And there are lots of other websites. As long as they cover Edexcel GCSE Maths, then all will work, and the more practice the better. Now, Dr. Frost Maths is something that all students in Year 11 are signed up to. They all have their own account. If they are having problems with logging in, then please ask them to speak directly to their maths teacher or to contact them via email, and they can support them with logging in. Students go to the login at the top right of the Dr. Frost website, and the best way to use it is to start a practice. They can choose by topic at this stage, and then they can filter in the secondary area of the drop-down menu and choose the areas that they need to work on based on the topics they've seen on their revision list. Maths GCSE is an online website. It is also now available as an app which can be downloaded and used on the phone. It is the exact same format in the app as it is online. The best part of this website to use is to go at this stage to the GCSE revision area, and they will then find all the GCSE topics arranged by grade. There is also a search bar at the top where students can type in the subject or the topic they're looking for, and it will take them straight to those questions. They are past exam questions, and there are also fully written solutions for students to be able to check their work. The other one that we would recommend is Corbett Maths. Corbett Maths, if they go to the videos and worksheets section at the top of the website, this is a huge list of topics. This has every maths topic that you can imagine. This can be used for revision from Year 7 all the way up to Year 11. The best way to use this is to use the Control F function and then start typing into that search function the topic you are looking for. It will then jump down the page to the topic that you need. There are videos to explain how to do the topics, and then we would recommend the textbook exercises on each topic, and again there are answers provided so that students can check their work. I hope that this video has provided useful information regarding the upcoming mocks, the upcoming exams, and some information on how to revise. If you do have any other questions at all, then please do feel free to contact me via email. My email address is knichols@ringwood.hants.sch.uk, and also your child, you are obviously more than welcome to get in touch with your child's teacher if there is any other ways that we can support them with their maths. Thank you for your time.